What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. We're here breaking down the FireKeepers Casino 400 at Michigan International Speedway for Sunday, August 18th around 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Although be aware, we have plenty of weather in the forecast this weekend, whether it be on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So we're going to have to cross our fingers, cross our toes, and hope for the best. And really quick, I have to talk about a serious matter. There was terrorism that struck the United States last week, specifically in Richmond, Virginia, on Sunday night. Right around turn 3, turn 4, with 1 lap to go in the race. Austin Dillon, the known suspect, took out all of my lineups, took out all of my bets. I had a ladder on Logano to win, top 3, and top 5. And it all got brushed away. And then, he wasn't done there. He went right to Denny Hamlin, took him out as well. Fortunately, there was some justice. NASCAR did take away his playoff eligibility from that win. He could still earn his way in, but I highly doubt that will happen. So at least some justice was served. I'm sure most of you were victims as well. So hopefully we can get all through it together this week. I felt a little bit better after the penalty, but still brutal ending to last weekend, but we marched forward. Anyway, this happens to be your first time here. What's up? My name is Pennell. I break down NASCAR DFS each and every single week on this channel. Videos on Saturdays, live streams on Sundays, also NFL starting very, very soon. And with the race starting earlier this weekend, around 2, live stream will probably have to be right around 1 this time, so be there, be square, always a good time. And really quick, I gave a shout out to last week's comment contest winner, Dustin, who's been here for a long time. Had Denny Hamlin at 123 laps. He led 124. About as close as you can get. So if you want to win this weekend or enter, all you got to do is comment down below who you think is going to lead the most laps and how many, and the winner will get a cash prize. And if you do enjoy today's video, make sure you like down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's dive right into it. All right, let's talk some strategy here for Michigan. Nothing too crazy this weekend. It's a 2-mile track, kind of like a 1.5 intermediate. It's just a little bit bigger, so there's more raw speed here. If you're looking for comparable tracks, you were looking at pretty much the 1.5s we have been to this year. I would say Kansas is probably the closest. And I also don't think it's a bad idea to add in Pocono and Indy. I know those are large flat tracks and they're even bigger than Michigan, but still it's just more of like a raw speed type of thing, and the drivers that should speed at those types of tracks, I wouldn't be surprised if it's too far off this weekend. 1,000 points are not going to be as important as they were last week at Richmond. We have 200 laps. So if you did 100 times 0.7 for the dominator points, that'd be 70. So if we have 200, just double that. That's 140 dominator points this weekend max. So not a ton, but you're still not ignoring them. You pretty much want 1 to 2 DOMs per lap. Just going to depend on how qualifying shakes out, but you cannot ignore lap leaders. All right, so in the event practice and qualifying gets rained out, if not, we're just looking at double the data, but this will kind of have to be our practice numbers if it does end up getting rained out. So we're looking at green flag speed for several different segments here. So looking at the overall, this is just everything since 2023. That's probably not as relevant, but if we look specifically at intermediates since 2023, which is going to include Michigan, it's going to include Pocono, things like that, but pretty much 1.5 mile tracks and above that would have some correlation, at least to this weekend. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, that's usually the 1-2 at these types of tracks. And then you have William Byron, although he seems to be on a summer vacation. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I feel like every year Byron crushes early. Maybe they just test until the playoffs and then they get good again. So I don't know. It's still summer last I checked. Then Tyler Reddick, Truex, Chastain, and Christopher Bell. Looking at 2024 overall, which is everything besides road courses and super speedways, because that makes no sense to put those in these. Once again, you're going to have Hamlin, Larson, Byron, Truex, and then it gets a little bit different sometimes, but then Elliott, Reddick, Bell. But it's always the same conglomeration of drivers. Similar tracks, this is going to be specifically this year. We have, once again, Denny Hamlin, but then William Byron and Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Reddick, Gibbs, Buescher, Elliott. Now, this tire combination is only a 2-race sample size, so it's hard to put too much into it, but Reddick, Larson, Hamlin, which are basically the 3 drivers you would expect, and then Ty Gibbs, Byron, Chastain, Truex. And if we're looking at the overall of how and weigh these, no surprise the top 2 is Denny Hamlin, Kyle, take a shot every time I say Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, then Byron, Reddick, Truex, Gibbs, Elliott. So if we do not have practice, you can use this as a bit of a speed guide. You can always find this on my sheet that's available to you all if you want access to it, but hopefully we get practice, and then this will just be a nice little thing to keep in your mind. But the more data, the better. And finally, moving on to the driver-by-driver breakdown, I do have to mention one thing first, and that is, of course, if you enjoy the best NASCAR DFS community out there, link is down in the description or the pinned comment for the Patreon. You get access into the entire NASCAR model with projections, simulations, the betting model, articles, Discord, cheat sheets, whatever you want. It's probably on there for NASCAR DFS or betting. And then also cover baseball every single day, and we have NFL coming very, very soon, which I'm really excited about this year. you want to come in, check it out, I'd love to have you. You know where to find it. The link can be found down below. And make sure you check out the Stochastic Sims tool specifically for NASCAR if you want to help take your game to the next level. You can use our contest generator or pre-contest simulator to see which lineups stack up the best in tournaments or which drivers offer the best ROI before the race starts on Sundays. So want to help give yourself an edge before the race starts, make sure you check the link down below in the description or the pinned comment and tell them C-Pen sent you. All right, it's the next day and practice has concluded, only about half of it, and then qualifying got rained out. So when you look at the qualifying spots, these are not earned spots. These are based off the lineup formula, which has a lot to do of where you finished last week, your fast laps and points and things like that. And for practice, I'm not really sure how much we should get married to practice numbers because we really didn't run that many laps. We had to start and stop a few times. We didn't even get a full entire session in. So I wouldn't be overly consumed by practice data. Now, a lot of the good cars did do good in practice. I mean, Kyle Larson was fast. Get over to the practice results here. So as you can see, Truex is fast, Larson, Elliott, Chastain, Byron, Keselowski. Like, you're not surprised by these if you're looking at the overall lap times. I mean, one surprise is Daniel Hemrick's all the way up here. That's a little surprising. You have Denny Hamlin all the way down in the dumps here somewhere. Yeah, right here in 21st for the overall lap times and overall pretty slow. So I don't really think he's going to be slow during the race. So, like, yeah, if you were fast, that's nice, but I wouldn't be overly concerned about practice times heading into this weekend. All right, so start with the 5-figure drivers and up. And a lot of these guys, I will tell you right now, since we really did not get a great practice session in, and obviously these qualifying positions aren't like earned qualifying positions, I hate to say it, but like Byron, Elliott, Reddick, Bell, Blaney, Hamlin, Larson all look like very, very similar plays. So it's going to be really hard to differentiate much from them just because they don't really have the necessary data that we'd usually get on a Saturday to try to make those decisions. So a lot of it's going to have to be just based off of either a quick practice session, which I'm not sure exactly how much we can put into it, or how they performed at similar tracks or just at Michigan in the next gen. Also, you can use the green flag speed numbers to help give you an idea who will have speed. So again, it's just going to be a lot of mixing and matching. We probably can't go too heavy on one of these drivers, but we do know based off of green flag speed numbers and just really similar tracks performance, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin have been amazing at these types of tracks. Larson starting in 4th, Denny Hamlin is in 1st. Larson was amazing in practice, Denny Hamlin was not really something to be too concerned about in my opinion. And if we're looking at this 7 to 8 race sample size, Larson did miss that Charlotte race earlier in the year. They have been obviously awesome. Hamlin has the best average rating position. Kyle Larson's in 2nd. They have the top 2 average driver ratings. Larson has 3 wins in 7 races. Denny Hamlin has none, but also 5 top 5s. And they both have the most dominator points. So yeah, these are probably going to be the 2 main contenders here. Not to say Tyler Reddick can't, not to say Elliott can't, but if I have to plant my flag on 2 of these guys, I would say they're the most obvious ones. And I mean, it makes sense. They are the most too expensive, but these would be the top 2 in my opinion. And then Ryan Blaney, he'll be starting in 8th. And while I think he'll be okay, Ford has obviously been incredible here. I think they've won like the last 7 or 8 races in a row at Michigan. Keep in mind, a lot of that was Kevin Harvick, and he's no longer racing, but we still saw Chris Buescher last year. He held off Martin Truex Jr., who had a cheat car, at least in my opinion. He looked amazing. Blaney should be okay. I'm not sure if he's going to be a race winner where he gets dominator points, but he'll be in the mix. I definitely have him a tick below guys like Larson and Hamlin. Martin Truex Jr., he is not the same play as the rest of these guys because he offers a heap of place differential. Obviously, had an issue last week with the engine, ended up finishing, I think, dead last. So that's going to put him in a spot where, yeah, it's pretty easy to pair him with a Larson or Hamlin if we want to go that route because he's going to offer you a lot of PD. He has one of the fastest cars based off of practice. And while he hasn't been exactly a huge dominator at these types of tracks this year, you don't necessarily have to at 10K starting in 24th. And he's still a guy that can get fast laps. So he'll probably be a top 5, top 10 contender by the end of the day. So I have no issue with Martin Truex Jr. I would say he's the best cash play of the bunch that we've talked about so far and probably of any 9K and up driver. Dropping down to the 9K range, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Elliott, Byron. I mean, they're all solid at these types of tracks. I would say of that bunch, Tyler Reddick will probably be the fastest starting on the front row, $9,600 if you want to use him as a pivot off of Denny Hamlin. I have no problem with that, but I don't want to waste your time and go like completely separate on each driver here because they really just all look the same. Just eyeball test, I would probably have it Reddick, Elliott, Bell, then Byron, just because Byron's been fading a little bit, but at their price points, they're just mix and matches in tournaments. I don't really think any of them scream cash game play. And then over on FanDuel, Elliott and Byron look like some pretty good values at those really low price points. And then Brad Keselowski. he has been crushing similar tracks. He'll be starting in 15th. As you can see, averaging 56 DraftKings points race, which is only behind Kyle Larson. 9.4 average finish, which is second best, only behind Larson. Pretty solid average running position, 3 top 5s, always in the top 15, and even some fast laps mixed in there. And if you're looking at a 16 race sample size, again, just extremely consistent. So starting at 15th at $9,000, I have no issues with Brad Keselowski. He should be faster. The Fords are usually really strong here, so you can make an argument with him being the best cash game play in this range over Byron Elliott, Reddick, and Bell. I wouldn't have an issue with that. Again, I wish we had more like practice data to kind of sift through, and I wish we could know how much we should trust practice, but I do think Kes will be pretty strong, and he offers you more PD and a lot of uncertainty for this race based off of really not getting too much during Saturday's session. He does offer you a little bit of a floor there. Dropping to the 8K range, Joey Logano, Chris Buescher, got a couple of Fords here. Logano usually does not perform that well at these larger tracks. We usually play him at these short flat tracks, which was going to be awesome last weekend until Austin and Dillon had other plans. 2 top 5s in 8 races, 3 top 15s, 6 top 15s. Like, I think he'll be like a 10th to 15th place car. But other than that, I don't really see him getting up front and contending. I'd rather just play Brad Keselowski. I'd rather play Byron Elliott at similar price points. I'd rather play Buescher, whose numbers are honestly pretty identical to Joey Logano's, but he won this race last year and he gave me 4 extra spots. So if I think they're going to run really similar, why not just take the guy starting further back a little bit? Ty Gibbs, $8,400. He'll be starting in 19th. I actually like him quite a bit. If you're looking at similar tracks, 8 race sample size for Ty Gibbs, average running position of 11.5, which is better than everyone we have talked about besides Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Larson. Pretty good company to be in. He's in a JGR ride. He's only $400. I know he's kind of faded like the past couple of months now, but I think Ty Gibbs is a pretty solid play. So I'll be in on him at that price point. On either site, $8,500 on FanDuel is dirt cheap, and on DraftKings he's fairly priced as well. But will also be like a pivot off of Ty Gibbs or Chris Buescher, just starting in 5th. We know he runs well at these types of tracks, and I think he can be a top 10 car. It's just a matter of, can he get those fast laps? Can he stay within the top 8 to make him optimal? To be optimal, I mean, he's probably going to have to finish within the top 5 and get a good chunk of fast laps. I mean, it's pretty tough starting in 5th. So he's a tournament play only, but the Yoda should have plenty of speed. Ross Chastain, similar play to Bubba Wallace. I feel like I'd rather just play Bubba at that point personally. I feel like I can trust their speed a little bit more this year. And then Kyle Busch starting at 13th at $8,000. On FanDuel, he is dirt cheap, and we usually always fade him at the short flat tracks. Intermediates, you can kind of start to get more interesting on Kyle Busch because he does bring more speed. But if we're looking at similar tracks this year, plus the 2 Michigan races, it's been pretty brutal. 22nd average running position, 23rd in his average finish, only 2 top 10 finishes. So I'd probably lean just towards Chastain, Bubba, Gibbs, Buescher. In this price range, really doesn't seem too necessary to get to Kyle Busch because he has been one tough guy to trust. Starting off our 7K range, we have Alex Bowman starting in 22nd. The Hendrick cars all looked pretty fast. Byron Elliott and Larson showed speed. If we're looking at the practice results for Bowman, looks like he was right here in 12th for the overall lap times. And if you're looking at the lap averages, 7th in the one lap, and then 9th in the 5 laps. So again, really just not too much data to work with. But starting in 22nd, if you want to play him in cash games, I don't have an issue with that. Average running position of 15th at similar tracks. I think he can be like a borderline top 10, 15 car, which is fine at $700. I don't really have too much interest in Suarez starting in 12th. I know he did great last week, but I think a lot of that was more so just him nailing the tire strategy early on. He got the fast laps, put him in a good spot for downer points. I don't think that would have happened in a normal race under normal conditions. Josh Berry, I more so prefer at the short flat tracks, just not offering me enough place differential to have too much interest. 7 race sample size here, and he's usually right around 24th, 25th place. Just have some top 20s mixed in, but I'm not really seeing too much to have a lot of interest here. Austin Cindric in 23rd, $7,000. Probably going to run pretty similar to that, 25th place car. Not a lot of interest there. Dropping to the 6K range, Hocevar starting a little bit far up for me to have a lot of interest. Noah Gragson, he's starting far enough back to where maybe he just borderline top 20s. He's not someone I think I'm going to X out of the player pool, but I'm not running to play him. I'd rather play Eric Jones starting in 28th, $6,700. We always like him at these larger tracks because he just, for some reason, tends to have more speed. 7 race sample size here, average finish 16th, average running position inside the top 20. Also have 2 top 10s and 6 top 20s and 4 top 15s. Gragson does have 3 top 10s, so that's what I'm saying. Like, instead of playing Hocevar, Cindric, and Berry, I just think it's easier to get the guys like Gragson and Eric Jones down here. Michael McDowell starting in 17th. not really a lot of interest there. Rather just play Jones. Chase Briscoe is usually really bad at these types of tracks, but got a little better this year. Usually around 20th place, which is where he's starting, so doesn't really stand out. Austin Dillon, I hate the guy, and this has nothing to do with it, but I don't really have a lot of interest there, starting in 10th place. Ricky Stenhouse was actually on his way to an easy optimal last week until he ended up just ruining the entire race for everybody, battling with Ryan Preece for no reason whatsoever. But starting in 30th, he has to be in the cheap player pool because he can always find his way to 20th. Todd Gillen starting in 20th, just starting a little bit too far up for me. 5K range looks pretty ugly, but Justin Haley starting in 29th. Like, is it a standout play? No. Would I rather play Stenhouse? Yes, but I do think Haley could probably limp his way to 25th, 20th. It just depends on the cycle. Like, all these guys are probably going to be the same exact speed. I said this last week. Just a matter of how the race cycles out. Like, there's really nothing that would tell us that one of them has like insane speed compared to the other. Like, yes, we do have a little bit of practice session here, and Dinger was 10th in the one lap, so I could see people flocking to him starting in 35th. Like, I am perfectly fine with that. But again, keep in mind it was just kind of a weird practice session. So I had to say, like, any 5K driver, I'll probably just take AJ Allmendinger, and then Justin Haley. After that, anyone's best guess. And you're probably just better off trying to stick to that some of those 6K range drivers. Although, if you are a believer in the small practice example we have, Daniel Hemrick, $5,100, was 13th in the one lap and 6th in the 5 lap, starting in 32nd. And he isn't a colleague car. And we know the colleague car of AJ Allmendinger showed some speed. So maybe they have something this week, but that's really all I got. But with that being said, that's all I got for you guys this week. So hope you did enjoy. And if you did, or even if you didn't, make sure you leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. If you guys want to check out all the extra content over on Patreon, have my updated thoughts over there. You can find it in the link down below in the description or the pinned comment. Wish you all the best. See y'all in the live stream tomorrow. Yeah, I'll see y'all next time.